Hey there, amazing viewers. Welcome to Quoteverse Cinema and Movie Plot Recap. Before we begin the recap, thank you for your continued support. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell. Now let's get started. In 1981, San Francisco salesman Chris Gardner invests his entire life savings in portable bone density scanners, which he demonstrates to doctors and pitches as a handy improvement over standard X-rays. The scanners play a vital role in Chris's life. While he is able to sell most of them, the time lag between the sales and his growing financial demands enrages his wife, Linda, who works as a hotel maid. The economic instability increasingly erodes their marriage, despite caring for Christopher Jr., their soon-to-be 5-year-old son. While Chris is trying to sell one of the scanners, he meets Jay Twistle, a lead manager and partner for Dean Witter Reynolds, and impresses him by solving a Rubik's Cube during a taxi ride. After Jay leaves, Chris lacks the money to pay the fare and chooses to run instead, causing the driver to angrily chase him into a BART station. Chris boards a train but loses one of his scanners in the process. However, Chris's new relationship with Jay earns him the chance to become an intern stockbroker. The day before the interview, Chris grudgingly agrees to paint his apartment to postpone being evicted due to his difficulty in paying the rent. While painting, Chris is greeted by 2 policemen at his doorstep, who take him to the police station, stating that Chris has to pay for numerous parking tickets he has accumulated. As part of the sanction, Chris is ordered to spend the night in jail instead, complicating his schedule for the interview the following day. Chris arrives at Dean Witter's office on time, albeit still in shabby clothes, covered in paint. Despite his appearance, Chris still manages to impress the interviewers and lands a 6-month unpaid internship. He is among 20 interns competing for a paid position as a stockbroker. Chris's unpaid internship does not please Linda, who eventually leaves for New York, because she might earn a job at her sister's boyfriend's new restaurant. After Chris bluntly tells Linda that she is incapable of being a single parent, Linda agrees that Christopher will stay with Chris. Chris is further set back when the IRS garnishes his bank account for unpaid income taxes, and he and Christopher are evicted. Chris ends up with less than $25, resulting in him and Christopher being homeless, and they are forced at one point to stay in a restroom at a BART station. On other days, Chris and Christopher spend nights at a homeless shelter, in BART, or, if Chris manages to procure sufficient cash, at a hotel. Later, Chris finds the bone scanner that he lost in the BART station earlier and, after repairing it, sells it to a physician, thus completing all sales of his scanners. Disadvantaged by his limited work hours and knowing that maximizing his client contacts and profits is the only way to earn the broker position, Chris develops several ways to make sales calls more efficiently, including reaching out to potential high-value customers and defying protocol. One sympathetic prospect, Walter Ribbon, a top-level pension fund manager, even takes Chris and Christopher to a San Francisco 49ers game, where Chris befriends some of Mr. Ribbon's friends, who are also potential clients. Regardless of his challenges, Chris never reveals his lowly circumstances to his colleagues, even going so far as to lend one of his supervisors, Mr. Frome, $5 for cab fare, a sum Chris cannot afford. He also studies for and aces the stockbroker license exam. As Chris concludes his last day of internship, he is summoned to a meeting with the partners. Mr. Frome notes that Chris is wearing a shirt, to which Chris explains he thought it appropriate to dress for the occasion on his last day. Mr. Frome thanks him and says Chris should wear another one tomorrow, letting him know he has won the coveted full-time position and reimburses him for the previous cab ride. Fighting back tears, Chris shakes hands with the partners, then rushes to Christopher's daycare to embrace him. They walk down a street and joke with each other, and are passed by the real Chris Gardner, in a business suit. An epilogue reveals that Gardner went on to form his own multi-million-dollar brokerage firm in 1987, and in 2006, Gardner sold a minority stake in his brokerage firm in a multi-million-dollar deal.